Good afternoon, this is Atmospheric Alex here with yet another severe weather outlook and discussion forecast video. You're not going to stop seeing these probably for the next month as we head into yet another round of severe weather activity here. You can see here on the thumbnail we have got a lot to talk about today. Tropics are looking a lot less active, so that is some good news. Probably won't be going over it at all in this video, and the next one this will likely be removed from the thumbnail. Without further ado, we have been seeing a lot of severe weather activity over the past couple of days here across the high plains and northern plains areas up here. Look at up through Montana yesterday. All those supercells firing off the front range and moving off to the east. Significant damaging winds with those as well. Upwards of 60 to even 80 miles an hour has occurred. So we're going to start off today's video just like always with the Storm Prediction Center's convective outlook. We are seeing two well-defined enhanced risk areas today for severe weather, a 3 out of 5 on the severe weather scale for states like Nebraska here and Minnesota, even portions of Wisconsin, where we could be definitely seeing some very damaging winds, large hail, and even a tornado risk. Your tornado risk is mainly going to be centered up in Minnesota here today, around Minneapolis, Rochester, St. Cloud area up there, and we could see a bit of a trailing risk going further off to the south in the west, and maybe even some localized areas in here with maybe a greater tornado risk that we're going to have to be watching for. That is all going to be on the docket here for today. Your wind risk, well, we're definitely going to be seeing it here. Look at that. A chance for 75 plus mile an hour winds through Nebraska. That is not a surprise. We're supposed to see a massive mesoscale convective system blow right through those areas later on this evening into tonight. Your hail risk, it's kind of a funny little outlook here, a bit of a boomerang shape to it, but that is where we are anticipating our hail to be centered today, or large hail, I should say. As we head into tomorrow, same song and dance applies. We do have yet another enhanced risk for severe weather. However, I have been looking at the models at a potentially destructive mesoscale convective system pushing across Kansas here. I don't want to even say a derecho, but there is a chance of that with how long-lived it could be. So could we potentially see a risk upgrade? Well, it's definitely not a guarantee, but do not be surprised if you do see a red area, a moderate risk get introduced due to extremely damaging, destructive winds tomorrow. Now, as we move into our tornado risk, we're definitely talking about it. A 5% risk here could get upgraded. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. There will be a lot of wind shear down here, and especially even a bit further south. But your parameters are going to be very elevated, so strong tornadoes can exist embedded in that line. And any supercells out ahead of it definitely could have a strong tornado risk as well. Your wind risk, that will be upgraded to a hatched risk, I guarantee it. As of now, it's only a 30 non-hatched. That'll be upgraded. Hail risk here, talking, like I said, 2 to 3 inches in diameter for sure across those areas. Now, as we go into Wednesday here, we do have a large slight risk area here. Again, it's a low risk, but it's a very big area going from Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, even portions of Kentucky sneaking in, Ohio, and even into Michigan. And we're going to be talking about quite a bit of severe weather across those areas as we move into Wednesday. Now, of course, into Thursday here, we do have, yet again, a bit of a slight risk for severe weather here across the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast regions here. North Carolina, Virginia here, West Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, Washington, D.C. in there as well, getting into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, up into New York, and everywhere in between going to be talking about a severe weather risk. So how's today looking on our HRRR model here? This is what the radar could look like later on this afternoon and evening. Talking about some supercells already trying to fire up here across central Montana in roughly the same areas we saw them yesterday. And I'll tell you, some of them were really photogenic on some of those storm chasing streams. Absolutely amazing, breathtaking out there. But we're talking about around 2 to 5 p.m. Mountain Time, and these will continue spreading off to the east here. A couple of these getting a little more intense, packing more of a wind threat with them as well, especially around Sheridan and Broadus here in Montana and portions of Wyoming as well, pushing off to the east and even off to the south. Speaking of Wyoming here, we're going to be looking later in the day, much later in the day actually. You see your supercells really begin to fire up around Douglas and Casper here, and even further off to the east, this is going to be in around 4 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time this evening. And these will continue to intensify, and we could see some more damaging wind segments become a lot more apparent here, coming right off to the east here. Rapid City, South Dakota getting slammed later on. We'll talk about that in a minute. Into the night, you could see some more storm development as that pushes on out by the time we reach midnight tonight. Now, moving across Nebraska and South Dakota, since there is not a South Dakota sector we could use, I'm not sure why, we're going to go ahead and look here later on into the night. Here you go. Supercells firing up near Rapid City, South Dakota here, and your big old line pushing on through as well. That will be in and around probably 6 to 9 p.m. Mountain Time. And then going off to the east here, couple of very intense supercells try and explosively develop across North Platte and portions of northern North Dakota, portions of northern Nebraska here. We're definitely going to be talking about some supercell growth and development. And yeah, North Platte here, look at all those cells congealing into one big line where we could see over 80-mile-an-hour winds blasting through your area in and around 9 to 12 this evening, or tonight, I should say, in Central Time. This continues to blast on through Valentine, maybe a second round Hastings, Lincoln, and this just really continues off to the east, bringing a large swath of damaging, maybe even destructive winds with it as well. How about further off to the north, because we do have a secondary risk area. Up into Minnesota we go. A few supercells trying to fire off here pretty early on and around 1 to 3 p.m. Central Time. And these will continue overspreading the area. Definitely going to be a tornado risk with stuff like this here. Your discrete supercells are going to be by themselves, which means they have the entire environment to work with, right? Like this one near Duluth as well. Could we see a strong tornado risk out of any of these? We could, definitely. You know, along some of your southward cells we could. And you could see a line of clusters and supercells really beginning to ramp up here. Look at Minneapolis getting hit around 6 to 8 p.m. at Central Time tonight. And then even Duluth here going further south, and you just get the idea here. Big old line here with broken supercells embedded in them all the way through. How about Iowa here? There's a lot to go over in this video, I'll tell you what. Well, you could see some remaining morning convection here. This turns into a round of strong to severe storms to Waterloo, Dubuque here, and pushing down towards Moline here, going into around 1 to 3 p.m. Central. You could see that there a little bit. But we're really focused on our evening round here. Look at Mason City getting a nice supercell there. Not exactly a forecast, but it could happen. Your coverage is large enough. And, I mean, really not much forms in Iowa until later on tonight. A couple of isolated severe thunderstorms are possible starting around 1 to 3 a.m. tonight. How about your parameter space here? Well, look up here in Minnesota. Definitely going to be cooking a lot up here in your reds and pinks, so for sure a strong tornado risk could occur. You don't have much wind shear, but that's really all you need at this time of year with the storm energy you have. And some of your nocturnal activity could also have a tornado risk. And of course, your supercells out here in the mountains, your Rockies, could also have a tornado risk as well. It's just kind of a broad area where tornadoes are possible. And down here, as your wind shear begins to ramp up, we could definitely be talking about a tornado risk going after midnight across those areas. And then hopefully by the morning, our risk begins to die out. It really should. Alright, now how about tomorrow's risk for severe weather? We're going to take a look here. Look at your morning thunderstorms here across Kansas, like Salina here, going near Topeka a little bit. You know, in and around 6 to 9 a.m. Central, but we'll see if that happens, right? You can see our main round going to form soon, but not quite yet. Let's look at South Dakota first. A couple of supercells form near Pierre there. And here you go, your massive clustery mess out near Alliance, Scottsbluff, Sidney, Nebraska. And this is going to track off to the south and east, and boy, it's going to get large. Okay, here we go. Going later into the afternoon, here it goes. Look at that. Before we look at that, though, there's just so much to talk about, right? Still your supercells up in South Dakota. Some other stuff forming near Salina, Kansas. Again, that's not really going to be too much of a worry just yet. But as we push into the evening, well, actually, you could see a couple supercells. I take that back. That could be a tornado risk out there we may need to watch. But look at this big old line here blasting on through. Goodness, you see a massive bow echo form near Salina. Again, you're going to get a lot of storms tomorrow, right? And going towards Topeka and Kansas City. And this will really all be around 8 to 12 tomorrow night. Goodness, that is intense. But we'll take a look at that in just a little bit. Up here in Nebraska, you can continue seeing your thunderstorm activity moving on through. All right, now for Kansas. This is stuff we need to talk about, right? Look at this big old line moving through, packing a serious punch. Look at Wichita, Kansas here, going in around 11 to 1, certainly packing a punch of 70 to 90 mile an hour winds with that line. Could we see an isolated gust upwards of maybe even 95? We'll have to wait and see. But certainly a powerful meso-low with a major line of severe storms just like this. A nice curlicue, nice comma shape here that will promote very damaging to destructive winds. And this just blasts through Topeka, Kansas City, Chanute here, and blasting further off to the east. Now, how about your future wind gust forecast here from our HRRR model? Let's go ahead and look at it here. You can see your main line of storms forming here, and my goodness, we are talking about 80 to 90 mile an hour winds in this corridor right within here. Definitely is going to be a very dangerous day up ahead and evening. And out here, again, any cells that form out in front, they're using that environment. This actually shows a max of 107 miles an hour. That's way overdone, but still. Destructive winds are possible tomorrow night. This continues on through. Could we see a potential derecho out of this? It sure looks like it's a possibility, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. How about your parameter space? It's a lot, to say the least. We have quite a powerful low-pressure system forming here, kind of a meso-low, if you will, and your ingredients are swinging on up like this. Certainly a lot of wind shear with it, lots of storm energy. What do you get when you combine the two and you get a big line coming in? Your parameters explode. Look at this. Big old area of pinks and purples really begins to light up here going into tomorrow night. So certainly going to have a strong tornado risk out there. Certainly going to have a risk of destructive winds across a very widespread area. So please, if you're in those areas, you need to turn your weather radios on high and turn on your emergency alerts on your phone. It could be a very serious situation that could unfold. And your wind shear and your black flags begin to ramp up substantially ahead of that line. And definitely your tornado risk will as well. And see, it continues on through, and your parameters finally die out by 5 to 6 a.m. Wednesday morning. It's going to be a long and loud night, everyone. Okay, how about Wednesday? Here's your NAM model really quickly here. We're talking about a bunch of rounds of severe weather here and supercells and just messy clusters in general here. I can kind of point them all out here. Look at all these little areas in here that could have severe thunderstorm activity. Like, look at all this, all the way up through here. I just circled about 8 different areas. Widespread severe weather is likely on Wednesday, and you can definitely see it in your form of damaging winds, some hail, and even your tornado risk as well. A lot of wind shear will be out ahead of this, supplying this risk just like this. Coming out of your south-southwest, your cells are going to be rotating quite a lot. How about your parameters here for Wednesday? Not the most heightened in the world, but certainly not the most quiet. Look at that, a lot of red areas here poking on through. Look at all that, and some of your hot pink colors right along your boundary interaction areas. That is going to be something we really do need to watch for. So a tornado risk, even a strong tornado risk, looks possible. Little isolated areas like this, if you see your winds get really backed in a certain area, your parameters are going to get a lot more heightened in nature. Your wind shear could ramp up, and your strong tornado risk will as well. So please keep a mindful eye on Wednesday as well. And how about into Thursday here? We're not really talking about the most amount of activity. Seeing some linear segments of severe weather pushing on through. There's really not much of certainty here, so it's really not worth diving into a lot just yet. But you could see other strong storms here further off to the north and just kind of messy clusters here. Maybe a couple supercells embedded, but it's really not a forecast. All right, now I hate to break it. This is not all the severe weather we're going to be dealing with. Friday, tons of storm energy, once again, up into the central to high plains here. Northern plains, I should say. That's a lot more realistic. but definitely going to talk about severe weather going on into Saturday. Same thing, severe weather, significant severe weather is possible. Look at that. Oh my gosh. There will definitely be derecho potential on some of these days coming up. It's very mindful that you keep an eye on the models and on the forecast, as it could be quite serious. Sunday, same thing. Again, it's just, I mean, this is a lot of storm energy coming on through. A lot of days where you could see isolated severe weather across a large area going on into the plains, the southeast, the maybe portions of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast. So pop-up thunderstorms in the afternoon could get a little bit crazy and a little unhinged here. We'll have to wait and see, but look at all this storm energy. And then maybe some of your more notable events starting up again. What was that? 7,500 Cape? Goodness gracious. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. It's definitely supportive of that. But a lot of severe weather, a lot of significant severe weather is expected. Severe weather season will be ramping up a lot more. Kind of similar to what it did earlier this year, unfortunately. So outbreaks are back on the menu. And your GEFS Supercell Composite agrees with this. Take a look at Friday here. Goodness, we're talking about reds and hot pinks on your mean Supercell Composite display. So yes, we are going to be active for sure. And even some reds continue. So this pattern, and it ramps back up again. Look at that going into late June. I really do not see an end to this just yet. But, you know, the number one thing here, do not panic, all right? Just stay weather aware, all right? That's all you really should do in this situation. You're going to be fine. You know, we're not expecting anything out of this world or completely abnormal, but certainly going to be more active than normal for this time of year. Now, that said, there will be no tropical update here today. This is actually might not do much here. I might have to remove this in the next thumbnail. And I've been noticing there's been a lot less clickbait now, which is good. And even the people who have, again, just know that this field can be very passion driven at times. You know, they're not actually trying to ruin your vacation or anything. It's just passion. A lot of passion goes into meteorology as a whole. So people get really excited sometimes. And honestly, I can't blame them. It's a very fun field to be a part of. But just be careful with who you trust online. Just please, I'd recommend doing your own research on that. I probably shouldn't be telling you who to trust or who not to trust, right? That being said, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, and, you know, even share with friends, family on social media. You have a wonderful night, everyone, and stay very weather aware. Could be talking about a serious situation unfolding across Kansas tomorrow.